Alright, here we go. We're going to start this game. This is the first match between the University of Maryland at Baltimore County and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. I'm not sure if that's the exact way to say their school's name. Sorry if I got that wrong. And it's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg on Tal'Darim Alter, the Blizzard Ladder version. Um, We'll see what positions they spawn in, and we'll see what Zinger XPN tries to do. He may try to metagame his opponent by going for a 6 pool and trying to bust down the front when Protoss is trying to fast expand. We'll see if that's something that he decides to do, and we'll see if Natangal will respond properly to what he thinks Zinger XPN is doing. Over here in this corner, we have Zinger XPN spawning as the Teal Zerg player. He's playing for UMBC. His opponent is going to be Natangal spawning in the opposite bottom right corner as the red Protoss player. Hopefully the stream isn't super laggy. I tried to change the settings a little bit. Over here, Natangal, it looks like he's going to be sending out a probe to throw down his pylon. Probe is going to get there right as he has 100 minerals, which is a good thing. He looks like he's going to start the wall over here and start building his way towards the other side using that first pylon as part of the wall. This is dangerous if Zinger XPN happens to decide to Baneling bust. It looks like he's going to be playing pretty normally for the moment. We'll see if he decides to go pool first or if he decides to go hatch first. Natangal is scouting in sort of the wrong direction. I've seen some Protoss players actually scout cross-map first and send a second scout probe out just to make sure that there's no 6 pool on the way. Natangal taking a little bit of a break to make his forge. There's the forge coming up. A little bit of a break from making his probes, and there's the first scout drone coming out for Zinger XPN. He also has a Overlord headed towards the top left-hand corner. Zinger XPN going pool first, so he looks like he may be trying to put up a little bit of pressure early on, or perhaps getting up a queen to sustain more drone production. We'll see when he decides to throw down that next hatch. There's the pool finishing up, and Natangal does scout this location. He does have 2 scout probes out on the field right now, and that's what I'm talking about when Protoss players do really want to know if there is a 6 pool or if it's going to be a 10 pool coming up with the speedlings. And there's the first photon cannon on the way for Natangal, and looks like Zinger XPN is going to go ahead and harass that cannon a little bit for the beginning of this game. There's the probe returning home. Another Overlord headed towards Natangal's base, and going for this Forge Fast Expand style, Zinger XPN can expect almost 0 pressure from Protoss until probably the 8-minute mark, when there could be some Stargate play, or perhaps a little bit of an early gateway push. There's the queen out on the field for Zinger XPN. He's going to go ahead and chase the probe out towards the natural expansion. He's also got a drone headed over there, perhaps to throw down that natural expansion. There's the little overlay, and there's the nasty pylon block coming up. That's a little bit of a glitch on my screen. That's interesting. A couple of Zerglings making their way inside of Natangal's base, and they will immediately get fought off by a couple of probes. That was a pretty large probe pull for Natangal. There's even a drone in here as well, and there's the natural expansion getting ready to be planted by Natangal. Still no gateway as of yet. He did go for the cannon first, since he did see the spawning pool first. He's even building a photon cannon inside of the main, and that's, I think, a little bit of overkill here. He could have gone for a gateway up at the front. This is the reason why he doesn't have a gateway coming up at the front. 2 Zerglings inside of the main isn't really that big of a threat, but it looks like Natangal is really worried about it. He really doesn't want to deal with those Zerglings at all. Should be seeing a gateway shortly. There's a gateway coming up for Natangal, and still the pylon block preventing that natural expansion from going down. Zinger XPN finally getting his natural expansion down a few minutes later. He has 2 queens out on the field already, and a couple of additional Zerglings popping out. Natangal, with his delayed gateway, will be forced to delay his warp gate even more, and that means his warp gate timing, if he decides to do that, will be quite a bit later than it normally would. Zinger XPN moving out Zerglings across the field. He's got his Overlord spotting this location as well, just in case Protoss decides to take a really sneaky ninja expansion in the top corner. Nightingale with a probe returning home. He's still trying to poke away at these Zerglings. Looks like almost getting us around, but those probes will return home to mine. This has actually caused Nightingale a lot more trouble than Zinger XPN probably imagined he would cause. There's the two Zerglings going to be able to heal up a little bit. He's even got the drone inside. He may be able to use that drone to do some scouting, or maybe proxy hatching him later on. I don't know if Nightingale knows if that drone is there. Obviously, if you see a drone, it's not going to show up on your screen like a building would. Zinger XPN also dropping a couple of creep tumors, taking the time to micro his Zerglings in here, maybe try to kill off another probe. Looks like the drone will reveal itself. Looks like one probe does go down. This has been a really cost-effective harassment here already. There's that single Zergling still maintaining 3 HP. Nightingale still no Zealot. Finally, first Zealot on the way. And Nightingale is now at 38 food, which is quite a ways behind of Zinger XPN. Zinger XPN is going to be able to throw down as many drones as he possibly would want during this time period, since he hasn't seen a single unit pop out. He's even got the Overlord on the high ground, spotting exactly what Nightingale is doing. He knows that there's approximately one set of drones, probes mining each mineral patch. And there's additional gateways finally coming up for Nightingale. And there's the drone for Zinger XPN. Will he control it to scout what's going on? No, it looks like the drone does fall. However, there are 5 gateways out in the field right now, and he does see the +1 from the Forge. He's even Zinger XPN is taking a 3rd base right now at the 3rd expansion, having knocked those rocks down with his Zerglings already. He should be preparing for some sort of attack. He's getting up a Spore Crawler. I guess he thinks there may be Stargate tech on the way, as he hasn't seen too many sentries out on the field. A good rule of thumb for Protoss is for every minute past the 3-minute mark, you should expect to see 1 additional sentry out in the field each time. Especially against Zerg or Terran. And there's additional photon cannons coming up for Nightingale. That's a lot of photon cannons. Zinger XPN, he's going to get a spine crawler up at the front and his 3rd base up and running. This is putting a Zinger XPN really far ahead, since Nightingale has been forced to spend so much money on cannons. That's about, what is that? 600 worth in cannons out on the field right now. And he's chrono boosting out yet these +2 armor upgrade. Zinger XPN throwing down another spine crawler at his 3rd base, just making sure that it's completely safe. He's going for a Spire tech right now, so he's going to be working off of 6 gas real soon, and that means we're going to see a ton of Mutalisks, and I don't think Nightingale is actually ready for this. He's done basically Sentry Zella, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble if a lot of mutas pop out onto the field. The Spire is just about to finish, and Zinger XPN throwing down a bunch of Zerglings right now, seeing that there's a gigantic push right now. The Spine Crawler wall is at the ready, and here comes the Zealots running forward, and the sentries will need to force field perfectly if he wants to try to break in there. Looks like Nightingale will be forced to return home, and another Spire is on the way. Or okay, well, there is a 2nd Spire on the way. It looks like Zinger XPN is going to commit to air by getting upgrades as well. A ton of Zerglings out in the field for him, and another Spine Crawler coming up at the 3rd base. And Zinger XPN does see the Twilight Council coming up as well, and looks like the Stalkers from Nightingale will begin taking down these rocks. Zinger XPN does see the Stalker shots going off at that location, and a drone is headed towards the top to possibly throw down a 4th base. There's a 2nd Spire finishing up. It will be up soon. 5 Mutalisks on the way. That's only the beginning of this mass mutaing. He's going to be able to produce a lot more. There's 6 more in the queue. And he's also going to be able to get upgrades throughout this production. +1 flyer tax is already on the way. Looks like Nightingale may be trying to push out one more time. His pro production has been stopped once again. I think his pro production has actually been stopped for quite a while now. Researching the blink for those blink stalkers, the Spinecrawler wall has been built over here once again. The Stalkers trying to poke in. The Zerglings are at the ready. Looks like the Protoss army is going to be trying to commit to this location. The Muta's getting into the fight as well. Zinger XPN just needs to hold this one big attack and he'll be free to expand all across the map. Looks like Nattengall is going to be backing up. He doesn't think he can break through this location. So Zinger XPN is going to be able to produce a couple more rounds of Zerglings and be completely safe. The Spinecrawler wall has moved towards the front of this ramp as well. And the fourth base is finishing up for Zinger XPN. Nattengall now at 108 food. Zinger XPN getting up to 131 Templar archives on the way for Nattengall. He thinks he needs those, well, he will need those Templar to be able to deal with mass Mutalisks right now. Let's take a look at the units tab. There are already 15 Mutas out in the field, and they are harassing the mineral line over here. Looks like they will be able to take down the gas and fly away. There's the Mutas now escaping from that location. The Overlord is actually completely unseen, so it's just kind of sitting there, and it looks like Nattengall is going to be forced to sit his army back while giving Zinger XPN a complete rule over the entire map. That means expansions everywhere and a really powerful Zerg army. We'll see how Nattengall decides to come back from this. He's now retaking the gas at his natural expansion, and as we see in the units tab, it's 45 probes for a Protoss player as to the 74 drones. Is that 74 drones or is that Zerglings? Where's my U key? What happened? There's my U key. No, it's 70 drones only just now. That was 74 Zerglings, which is quite a large number, but Zealots do quite well against those Zerglings. Over here, Zinger XPN getting the +2 flyer attacks for his Mutalisks, as well as the +2 melee for his Zerglings. Mutas continuing to control the map, getting out a couple additional Mutas to join the cloud. And Nattengall trying to saturate his third base, chrono boosting probes now 3 at a time. He could have had a lot more probes out in the field, but it looks like he opted to pause probe production early on to get out a pretty big attack, which he didn't really do much damage with. Chrono boost continuing to go down on the Nexi to be able to get out more and more probes. The Templar are now joining the field, trying to get the Templar Storm upgrade. Where's the Templar Archive? Still no Storm on the way. Looks like he's going to be opting for Archons for the moment. A ton of Zerglings out in the field. Looks like they will be securing the Zelnog watchtowers. Like to see Zinger XPN expand a little bit more, seeing that he has kept Nattengall inside of his base for the entire time. Maybe even a couple of Zerglings just sitting out front to see exactly what's going on. The Overlord, however, here has been a great thing for Zinger XPN, seeing exactly where the units are. It looks like the Muta is going to be able to fly in here and escape these Stalkers, unable to blink on top of them to do some damage. Nattengall being forced to throw down more and more cannons to defend against this. He needs those cannons or else he'll lose every single one of his probes. There's a ton more Zealots being morphed in, as well as more Templar. Surprised to not see any Storm upgrades, since he knows there are so many Zerglings out in the field, as well as those Mutas, which do take plenty of damage from Storm. Here comes the Mutas trying to do some additional damage. Looks like the Stalkers will chase them out for now. Zinger XPN now working off of 8 gas on 4 bases, and Nattengall now running a little bit dry inside of his main. Only 3 mineral patches left. Zinger XPN also doing the same. He's going to need to take additional bases real soon. He's got his hive on the way, and here comes a really big Protoss push. This may be the last push that Nattengall can do if Zinger XPN is able to hold this off. So this is one of those try to kill him pushes. We'll see if he's able to do it. He's advancing forward now with the Stalkers leading the charge, and here comes the Zealots into the fray, and there's the Archons doing quite a bit of damage. The Zerglings getting completely ripped apart, and the Zealots now charging into battle, and all of the Spinecrawlers trying to do the damage. Where's the rest of Zinger XPN's army? Looks like he's going to be forced to sack this base. The Archons doing tons of damage. Nattengall pushing forward. The Spinecrawlers from Zinger XPN now trying to uproot and return home. A couple of Mutas, where are they? Mutas need to come back here to help defend, and there's the Muta cloud returning home, and all of the Spinecrawlers rerouting themselves. And here comes Natengall's death push. He's got his stalkers blinking forward, and here comes the Mutas going to be boxing themselves over the entire Protoss army. The Archons trying to do as much damage as possible. There's still these Spine Crawlers not rooted in yet. They take forever to root, and there's the army from Zinger XP. It's getting whittled down quite a bit. Transfuse going down on the Mutas, and it looks like the Protoss army has been whittled down and is being forced to retreat. More Mutas and Zerglings on the way. +2 attack for Protoss is about to finish up as well, but Zinger XP is the one with the money. And here comes the blink forward. The Mutas are dangerously low on health. The Queen's out in the field trying to get in range of those Mutas to do some transfusing, but the Spine Crawlers still hold strong, able to do plenty of damage against those Stalkers. A blink being used to keep those Stalkers alive as long as possible. The Archon also being retreated as well. 5 more Mutas coming out for Zinger XPN, and the Spine Crawlers unrooting and returning home. And here comes the Muta Ball headed towards Natengall's main, and this is the trouble. And there's that Templar getting sniped before getting Storm off. I don't even know if he has Storm. Templar Archives has been killed off as well, and Natengall pushing once again with quite a substantial Stalker Ball. The Mutas continuing to do plenty of damage here, going to be forcing the cancel here on a couple of structures. A couple of cannons will fall as well, and the Protoss army has reached the front of the Zerg base once again, trying to push in to do a lot of damage. Looks like the Spine Crawlers able to do a little bit of damage, but not quite enough. A couple of stray Mutas here getting taken apart, and the Muta Ball is now returning home. And that one Archon is going to be what's going to try to take down these Mutas, and they're going to be trying to do as much damage as possible. Looks like the Mutas are winning this battle. The Glaive Worms bouncing and killing off all the Stalkers at once, and the Stalkers for Natengall being forced to blink back in retreat, trying to do some micromanagement here. Natengall is going to be forced to blink up onto the high ground. The Mutas are going to be engaging these Stalkers here. We'll see if they're able to win. Looks like there are way too many Mutas for those Stalkers to handle. A couple of sentries out in the field as well. They're not going to be able to hold the line, and no Storm for the Templar, so that's basically completely useless. A couple additional Stalkers warping in, and the Templar Archives looks like Storm will get cancelled once again. The Muta's going to be able to kill that Templar Archives off. Looks like he did not cancel that at all. Looks like Natengall's banking up quite a bit of money, but he's just unable to produce quickly enough. All of his probes at his natural expansion have been killed off. Zinger XPN taking the time to clean up these pylons as well. One Archon trying to do some damage here. Looks like he gets magic boxed, and down it falls. +3 flyer attacks, as well as flyer carapace level 3 on the way for those Mutas. They're going to be able to do so much damage, especially with those Glaive Worm bounces. I don't think Protoss actually has any... well, he has 1 armor, and it looks like he does have 2 attack on his units right now, but that still gives a very strong advantage to Zinger XPN, who has 100 extra food over his Protoss opponent, and he's contained him to just this single mining base. There's nothing mining at the natural expansion, and here comes the Mutas. They're one-shotting those cannons, and the probes are running for their lives, but it looks like the Mutas are just too good for those probes. The probes are all falling. Natengall now down to 45. He needs to keep this base alive. A hatch coming up for Zinger XPN, and this last mining base of Natengall, or it's not even mining, the last possible mining base of Natengall does fall. The cannon's trying to do some damage, but it looks like just not enough. The second cannon will quickly fall as well, and this proxy hatch will allow him to produce Zerglings for a nice big push real soon. Looks like Natengall is going into desperation mode, bringing his probes, Zealots, and a couple of Archons. 2 Templar without Storm. Yeah, without Storm. Going to be trying to do some damage here at the front of Zinger XPN. Looks like the Spinecrawler wall is alive and well, and here comes the Zealots advancing forward. The Archons trying to do some damage. The Queen's getting into the fight as well. Transfuses going down on those Spine Crawlers, keeping them alive for as long as possible. The Queen's doing quite a bit of damage themselves. Natengall GG's out of this game, and the next game will be on MLG, the Shattered Temple. UMBC is now up 1 against the University of Massachusetts at Amherst.